Hi, everybody. It's me, Jordan Long here. And today I'm going to talk about, waiting in the waiting room. Now, there's going to be people who always go to the lobby, but technically it's called the waiting room. Now, the waiting room, for some reason, always has to be filled with magazines, that you normally wouldn't subscribe to. And it's always got to be like, first off, it's going to be medical magazines, Time Life magazines. Maybe if you're lucky, it might be a National Geographic. But that's as far as that. But as far as it goes. And it's like no matter what time you show up at, there's always people who go before you do. Or in some cases might go after you go. And the waiting room is always like this. I mean, it's always like you and some other people and a bunch of books or magazines. So you're just sitting there waiting for your number to be called, or in some case, waiting for someone to call you. And it's always boring in a waiting room, and you're constantly waiting, waiting for your number to be called, if it's one of those where you got to take a number and wait in line thing, or sit down thing, or unfortunately one of those things, sad things. Or it's always like this. Then somebody else gets called before you do. What was his name? Oh, Malvin. Yeah, that's me. And then you're like, come on, when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to be called? When is my number going to be called? Well, at least, So then you find yourself flipping through the magazines, whatever magazines are there, Time Life or National Geographic or something like that, or some magazine is devoted to some, I don't know, medical condition, illness, sickness, or something. I don't know. But it never seems to be never on disability or a handicap, though. And someone has to flipping through almost the same thing like that. So you find yourself flipping through a magazine just to waste time. Yeah, I normally don't. And a person's, they're looking at Time Life and you're looking at people. And you're like to yourself, well, I normally don't look at people. I don't even subscribe to people. It just happens to be here. Here to pass the time before I'm called. And the other person's probably saying, well, I don't really, look at National Geographic or subscribe to it. I'm just reading that to pass the time. And it's like places that do this, okay? It's like you make your appointment, then the day of the appointment, then you get there at the appointed time. Maybe sometimes you're early, because you always want to be a little in between being early and being late. But it always seems to be the waiting room always seems to contain magazines that you wouldn't subscribe to. And then finally, when you finally get called, Jordan, yeah, that's me, yay. You feel so happy or something. Like you basically proved your patience or something by sitting in the waiting room and reading those magazines, though. So that's how it's like in a waiting room. And everybody can talk about going to a dentist, a doctor, a psychologist, or somebody where they have waiting rooms and you have to wait, and a bunch of magazines that you didn't subscribe to and normally wouldn't read unless it was there. You know what? I'm Jordan, and it's true. Okay? Try to tell me it ain't true. Basically, there are certain places that are exception to the rule, but most places like that, it's like that. I'm Jordan Long, and I hope you enjoyed this video.